my beautiful, beautiful garden, ready to start a new chapter of the Twits. Yay! I'm so excited. Are you excited? Today we have to read to see what happens after Mrs. Twit fell on top of Mr. Twit and started hitting him with her cane because he sent her up into the sky with more than 100 balloons filled up with gas. Coming down, she started coming down and then she landed right on top of Mr. Twit because there was no wind like today. Today there is no wind. The leaves are all in one place. Nothing is moving. So like today there was no wind and Mrs. Twit fell on top of Mr. Twit, and that's where we stopped. Okay, so the new chapter is called The House, the Tree, and the Monkey Cage. Get ready. But that's enough of that. We can't go on forever watching these two disgusting people doing disgusting things to each other. We must get ahead with the story. Here is the picture of Mr. and Mrs. Twit's house and the garden. Some house. It looks like a prison. And not a window anywhere. Who wants windows? Mr. Twit had said when they were building it. Who wants every Tom and Dick and Harry peeping in it to see what you are doing? It didn't occur to Mr. Twit that windows are to see out, not to see in the houses. Okay, and what do you think of the ghastly garden? Mrs. Twit was the gardener. She was very good at growing thistles and stinging nettles. I always grow plenty of spiky thistles and plenty of stinging nettles, she used to say. They keep out nasty and nosy children. Near the house, you can see Mr. Twit's work shed. To one side, there is a big dead tree. It never has any leaves because it's dead. And not far from the tree, you can see the monkey's cage. There are 4 monkeys in it. They belong to Mr. Twit. You will hear about them later. Okay, so this here, this is the house of Mr. and Mrs. Twit. This is the work shed. This is the cage with the 4 monkeys. And these are the plants that Mrs. Twit plants that are full of thorns. Thorns. This is the dead tree. And again, you can see the plants with the thorns. Las espinas, the thorns, okay? So all the plants that Mrs. Twit plants have thorns because she doesn't want children coming into her garden to play. So she wants the children to get thorns in their feet and on their hands so that they don't want to come and play there, okay? Ooh, she's nasty. The next chapter is called Hugtight Sticky Glue. Once a week on Wednesday, the Twits had bird pie for supper. Mr. Twit caught the birds and Mrs. Twit cooked them. Mr. Twit was good at catching birds. On the day before bird pie day, he would put the ladder up against the dead big tree. and climb into the branches with a bucket of glue and paint and a paintbrush. The glue he used was something called Hugtight, and it was stickier than any other glue in the world. He would paint it along the top of all the branches, and then he would go away. As the sun went down, the birds would fly in from all around to roost for the night in the dead big tree. They didn't know, poor little birds, they didn't know that the branches had glue. The moment they landed on the branch, their little tiny feet, got stuck and they couldn't get out. They couldn't get off the branches anymore. They were trapped. The next morning, which was bird pie day, Mr. Twit would climb up on the ladder and grab all of the little birdies that were stuck on the tree. And it didn't matter what kind of birds they were. They could be song thrushes or blackbirds or sparrows or crows or little jennies or wrens or robins, anything. They all went into the pot for Wednesday's bird pie supper. Oh, there is Mr. Twit putting the glue on the dead tree. There is the ladder, and there is the bucket of glue, and he's putting the glue on the tree. And here are all the little birdies coming on the tree to sleep, and then they are stuck. They are stuck. They're like, oh, I'm stuck. Oh no, what's wrong? And then they end up in the bird pie, dead. How horrible. How horrible. How terrible. 4 sticky little boys. On one Tuesday evening, after Mr. Twit had been up the ladder and smeared the tree with Hugtight glue, 4 little boys crept into the garden and looked at the monkeys. They didn't care about the thistles and the stinging nettles, not when there were monkeys to look at. So they explored further into the garden, and they found a ladder leaning against a big dead tree. So they decided to climb up the ladder just for fun. There is nothing wrong with that. The next morning, when Mr. Twit went out to collect the birds, he found 4 miserable little boys sitting on the tree, stuck as tight as could be by the seats of their pants on the branches. There were no birds because of the presence of the little boys that had scared them away. Mr. Twit was furious. As there are no birds for me to eat tonight for my pie, then it will have to be boys instead. He started to climb up the ladder. Boy pie! I am going to have to eat boy pie tonight. And he started grinning. More meat, not so tiny little bones for me to eat. The boys were terrified. He's going to eat us! He's going to boil us! Cried one of them. He's going to stew us alive! Wailed another one. He's going to cook us with carrots! Cried a third one. But the 4th little boy, that had a little bit more sense, said, Listen, I have an idea. We are only stuck by the seats of our pants, so... There are the little boys. They are terrified. Their pants are stuck to the tree. But Mr. Twit wants to get them and take them for his boy pie now. And they are like, we don't want to be eaten by Mr. Twit. So, quick, quick, unbutton your pants. Take them off and fall to the ground. Mr. Twit had reached to the top of the ladder and was just about to grab the nearest boy when suddenly they all tumbled out of the tree and ran for home with their naked buttons winking at the sun. There they are, running with their little butts. Look, they're naked. Their little butts are out in the sun. You see that? Mr. Twit couldn't get them. They ran naked. Na 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 na, you can't catch us, you can't catch us. They went away. Didn't you love it? Okay, so you will have to wait next week to see what happens. Bye, love you.